start by talking about the card for the day. I did pregame again. I'm getting a little bit better at being organized with that. So Earth, yeah, I would think so too, especially living with Cincy and the things they know about the mines from living in the Pennsylvania part of Appalachia and the mining culture there. So that genuinely tracks to me. Okay, so are we ready for the card for the week? And I'm not going to bother pulling retroactive cards. I think I just need to write on an index card and trim it down to the size of my tarot deck and just have WTF on it, because that's all I got for the last 2 weeks. So the card for this week is the Hierophant inverted. And what's interesting about it, because I haven't had any coffee yet today, all I've had my meds and that's about it. And my brain immediately parsed this as the Emperor inverted rather than the Hierophant inverted. And especially when these are doing things with this energy that is unhealthy, they tend to have very parallel energies. It's a lot about enforcement. It's a lot about patriarchy. It's a lot about the ugliest parts of their energy. But with the Hierophant, what's interesting, because the Hierophant can be pretty ugly right side up, because these are the rules. This is what everybody's supposed to do type stuff. This is the Hierophant when it is right side up frequently, or it is about the protection of lineage and tradition. So hi, welcome. So when we were looking at this inverted, though, it can also mean a big break with tradition. Now, reading this against current energies, global energies, I'm not sure what that means, and it makes me a little nervous, but it could be somebody breaking out of an old pattern. And during Mercury, what makes it interesting is Mercury retrograde does have an influence on this because communication shut down, traditional ways of doing things shut down, which means that if a system fails, usually this is a time when invention has to come in as well. So, traditions out the window. The problem is whose traditions are going out the window? What traditions are going out the window? So, on the more conservator side of this thing, side of the things in the United States, people are arguing that their way of life should be tradition for everybody, even though it's even unhealthy for them. And most people are fine letting people live the way they want, but not them. Part of living the way they want is seeing everything reflecting them. And I hate that I'm using an us versus them, but that is the reality of what's going on there. So, oh my God, will Casey abdicate due to Andrew Epstein? Unlikely. Very unlikely. These people are holding out. The problem is that these people think that is, if you get that much power, you get to. I'm not seeing a sign of remorse among a single person that's done any of this. So, and I am unwilling to guess because every time I've tried to guess, I've been mostly wrong. I am looking at, there's several different layers of where tradition is happening. And again, the most important part of these readings that I give to the community is how you can use that information in your own community, how you can use that with your own outreach, whether that's extended family, whether that's your neighbors, whether that's clubs you're involved with. So one of the things I think that is one of the more unfortunate traditions that has evolved is, and again, this is very US biased because I live in the US. This is the lens I see things through. And I am wading through propaganda and shallow information as much as everybody else. So what I am seeing the tradition is going to turn is more, I think the tradition is going to break is of waiting for our leadership to act. Or at least this is the tradition that needs to break. A lot of people forget the way that the United States Constitution was drafted, the way a lot of our state constitutions were drafted, is that it is supposed, the people are the government. So, Joe Schmo or whoever, me living in my house or me and my neighbors when I was in the mobile home park, we are the government too, but often things are structured to make us forget that. We are made to forget our own power because those tiny little fractions of power can look very ineffective if you're going with the rugged individualism thing. But if you're going with the working in community, working in groups, working with grassroots, each person brings their tiny piece of power together in a larger puzzle, and it can often overwhelm the other issues. So it might be a time where if you have a congressperson who has refused to even speak out against the atrocities going on, it's time to recall them. If you have someone in the school board who is basically shaming girls for having bodies and slut shaming and making their weird sexuality issues a problem, it's time to make their life a problem. It's time to become the whole problem for them and do it collectively. I think the tradition is going to break is that anybody trusts the government to do anything anymore, and everything's going to get taken into our own hands. Because without that incremental force, we're all screwed. This is how my family got through World War II and the Iron Curtain. This is how the Polish underground was formed as a community-led government during the time when the government was actively failing and harming people. And we're going to have to do the same. That's really my feeling about this. As far as the other stuff, especially since I swear to God, the Epstein files could be interpreted into a Gothic novel from what very little I've seen. And I'm trying to keep my head out of that as much as I can because I cannot go take cleansing showers right now. I have to I can't even stand up in the shower. So I cannot do the spiritual cleansing I want to do. So I don't want that in my head. But right now, we're not going to see the consequences coming from the states, not unless the people make the consequences. And I'm not saying go mob force or anything. I'm saying work within the rule of what's laws left. But no, these people aren't going to hold themselves accountable. And they've made sure to take up every piece of account. They have taken over everything, every force that could be used to hold them accountable. So I'll be honest, it seems unlikely, but I'm not opposed to the occasional miracle. And I would say if there was a mass time for doing a St. Jude prayer or whatever equivalent in your tradition is, this is the time to do it. So hi, welcome. We're just talking about the Hierophant inverted, and that is the card for the week. Reading through for each week for how that card applies to community. Because I am in the US, what I read is with the US bias. Most of what I'm reading for is going, look for this broader theme, but find a way to counter or embrace it within your own community. So we are talking about ways of taking more things in our own hands as a community on the government side, because in the US, the people are supposed to be the government, but it's very fractioned out in ways that are made deliberately to appear disempowering. So the Hierophant is about the find your power, start new traditions. And here's the tricky thing is because, again, no inversion is simple. And I know there are some tarot readers that are very opposed to reading inversions. I find them incredibly valuable. And what I got when I first drew the cards this morning, because I was like half awake, kind of rushing to get to the camera, and what I pulled was what I saw initially was the Emperor inverted, which is the worst of the worst of toxic patriarchy. But I also got the voice saying something's coming to an end. And then I actually saw the Hierophant card in front of me, which means there is a tradition ending somewhere. The problem is I don't know if it's a good tradition or a bad tradition. If it's a diplomacy traditions kind of matter. So, but again, because I like to focus on the parts where we can control, and it looks like on the top level, everything's uncontrollable. But on the immediate, your home, your neighbors, your town, your school board, your city council, to some degree, your county governments, or however it is divided up where you are, those are things within your control. Those are individuals you can go and speak to. You can find them at the library, in the bar, at the bookstore, wherever you can find them and say, hey, we need to have a talk about this. Or, hey, you're supporting a really toxic regime and you need to go. So this is kind of where I'm at with this one, especially after the last 2 weeks. I can't avoid the politics part. And while this is personal, the rugged individualism has kind of failed the country and put everybody in a bad and really disconnected place. So now gentle interdependence seems to be the thing to form. So that's what I've got. If anyone else has any other insights, I'd appreciate it. Again, I just read the cards and I occasionally have psychic visions, but in this one, it's the You asked us to only show you what you could do. It's like, I actually have a prayer that I say every day when I'm reading my cards of, "Please only show me something I can do something about," which means that that applies to this. So anything I am bringing to these readings is something you can do something about, but you may have to go really deep inward and get creative. Now, we are looking at this reading being drawn under Mercury retrograde in Pisces sun on Virgo moon. That means there's going to be a lot of old details and rules that get dug up. Old, obscure stuff that, I mean, the US is terrible about cleaning out its legal books. I mean, I live in Kalamazoo, Michigan, where we have some very specific rules about alligators and fire hydrants, and I know that hasn't happened in a long time. So, and that those rules, are, as far as I know, are still on the books. So this may be the time to actually call your local reference librarian or look for things, because I am seeing a lot about recall actually scare people for their positions. So look up the procedures for recalling someone from office, look up the procedures for replacing, look up the procedures for when someone has out and out violated the law and the police aren't doing their job. So if there isn't something, it may be time to create something. There are ways that citizens can get laws passed over and above Congress, but it takes a lot of work. So, the real check and balance in our check and balances system is the people. And often we are so burdened by taxes, paperwork, and making other people wealthy that we aren't allowed to stand up and take our actual part in what we're supposed to take part in. It's time. It's time to find a way, pick the person who likes to do the deep dive research, pick the person who, you know, is mostly spending time on their phone, pick that person and have them go do the thing. So that's what I've got today. Any questions or clarifications? I'm about to hop over to my Patreon where we do the 3-card reading for the week. And that one, the recording is always the first recording of the month is always posted available to the public. If you want to join the live membership, the initial membership to my Patreon is free. I do allow free members, so you can just hop on to see those lives every week. And you are also welcome to take part in the group chat. So that's what I've got for you. And also, if you'd like a one-on-one booking with me, I am available. So I'm going to go ahead and drop my link. I do have a few openings available for March. And heads up, and they are via Zoom. Hopefully I'm spelling it right. And hopefully the link works properly. So if someone can check and let me know. All right. All right. And so again, thank you so much for spending the time with me. I know that this actually does take a chunk from your days. I hope you do get something out of it that you can use in your lives, even if it's just a moment of community online that you can take with you into your day as you're seeking community in physical life. So that's what I've got for you. I'm about to hop over, and it's going to be it's going to be I really programmed the cards today, and it's going to be a wild discussion over there. So I will also drop the link to the Patreon. So unfortunately, I have to do everything from my iPad right now. It's a long story as to why. And given that I was gone for 2 weeks, I'm absolutely delighted that you all took the time to hang out. And if y'all are interested later, I'm more than happy to do a live going through the bag of random crap my ex-boyfriend cursed that I had to clean out 3 weeks ago, because that was quite the adventure. So that's what I've got for you all. Thank you. Have a good morning. I appreciate all of you, and go forth and break a tradition. Stay magical, everyone.